light hands will be a fundamental technique that he can improve. Here, for example, we got this much steering angle. We're at 100% throttle, but yet we have this type of steering input. The car's not really going forward, right? Because we're scrubbing the hell out of those front tires. Those things are like this, and we're trying to go forward. All right. So although the car makes the corner, you see that rear end snap? That usually happens from understeer, understeer, understeer. That leads to snap oversteer once the fronts grip up a little bit. The rear just snaps. And that's exactly what this was. So Brandon has a good point here. You got to take more curb here, right? So there's some things in terms of driving technique, and there's some things in terms of racing line. If we look at the body language of this car, right? Where is it pointing? Like if I draw a line, if I just draw a straight line from the nose of the car, like if I just intersect the car's trajectory is not really pointing to where you want it to go, you know? So ideally, we would want to make it look like kind of like this, probably with the tires here, like this. This is kind of how we would want the car to look, right? Maybe even more like, even like something like this would be so much better. Because think about it. Now you can actually get on throttle and rotate this thing, right? So what that means is, right, we got to rotate this car a little bit earlier. You did really well here, for example, really well in terms of getting this car rotated in here using all this curb. But here's where it went wrong. We're trying to do too much here on this blip, right? You prioritized getting the car up to speed in this sector rather than rotating the car so that you can benefit from straight line speed all the way down to the second chicane. See what I mean? It all comes from wanting to overdrive this little part. And if you look at it closely, as you're turning this wheel now, this is when the dab of the brake starts. This is where it should be starting already. But you're late. You're late because you wanted to blip so hard and so long. So then by the time you actually get on the brakes, it's too late. It's too late. The car is already understeering, and look how much steering input already is in the car. You kind of want the brake input to be a little bit before the steering or as the steering is going on, because guess what? The little dab of the brake sends the weight to the front, helps the car dig in, more grip on the fronts, more responsive. But instead, you're kind of doing it out of order. Ultimately, it's fundamentally wrong because we're just trying to take all the speed through here rather than just rotate the car properly, set it up in a way that we get the best exit. And that's what it comes down to. Sacrifice entry, get better exit. Sacrifice entry, get better exit. Simple. Next one, pretty good turn in. But then this right here, you kind of stop asking the car to come to the left. Because look at the body language of the car. Now the car is just going to go straight through. Look, see how it just goes straight through? And now look at where the car is pointing. Again, same problem. This is something that you're doing. It's just a bad habit. You see that? You're doing the same thing. It's just not pointing to where you want it to go. It's not even like ready to do it. So then when you get on throttle back over here, it's gonna be late, always. So what needs to happen, again, in this area, you need to prioritize getting the car a little bit more over here rather than prioritize this throttle, this blip of throttle. Prioritize getting the car a little bit more to the left so that you can open this up and get on throttle right here to go over. Because let's see when you get on throttle for the second part. This is the key thing. See how, look at when the throttle comes on. Right here is when the throttle comes on. But the reality is the throttle should come on right here. Throttle comes on right here, then comes off a little bit. So it should look like this. Throttle on, off a little bit as you're cresting, as you're jumping over this, then right back on. But yours is more like up, all the way down, wait, then on. Right? And think about this. If you get on throttle right before the curb starts, what does that do to the nose? It picks up the nose. And if you pick up the nose, then it's going to be more compliant across this curb, and you're not going to be slowing the car down as much with friction, right? It's going to be more compliant. But again, it goes back to this. You're prioritizing this blip of throttle and prioritizing speeding the car up through this sector, which doesn't even matter. What matters is the exit phase, all the way from here to the next corner. Same thing as first chicane. Same thing. Slow and fast out. It sounds so simple, right? But you can see it's just the overdriving here. Fast corner, right? Lesmo 1 is a fast corner, fairly fast. We need to be at the edge. We need to be. It's really punishing you to not use all the track here. Good apex, but we're pretty late on throttle because we're not using enough track on exit. Really, we could be all the way over here, almost a car's width to the left, which means we're late on throttle. So we're minimizing the exit here, the entry, which already is killing our exit speed. And then we're on throttle late, which means our exit speed is all even more compromised, you know? And also there's this little hesitation here on the throttle. You see that? You're not sure when to get on the throttle. And what that tells me is we go back to reference points. It's like, what are you looking for? Because this is a long corner, right? It's a long corner. What dictates you getting on throttle? How do you know when to get on throttle? Right? Do you do it by vibes, by feels? Do you have some sort of reference point? Where is the apex? Where's the apex? Simple as that. Where's the apex? Is the apex here? The apex back here where you're going? Right? So here, because this is a fairly early apex, right? This corner is an early apex. It's not a late apex. It's an early apex corner. So if you apex right here, it's too late. The apex is about there, but you're late. You see, you want to get on throttle, but you're not sure. If you would have gotten on throttle there, you would have been fine because then the car would have ended up here. And you would have been fine, but you're just scared. So let's see this part here. So this one's a little bit better. Let me see when you get on the brake. Yeah, this one's not bad. I wouldn't really change too much there. I'll say this is probably your best corner, to be honest. And then same thing here. Same thing as the first Lesmo. Same thing. You're just not sure when to get on throttle again. And we went deep. But you see how you're just kind of waiting and waiting and waiting. And part of it is because you went deep. Ultimately, the fundamental thing, in my opinion, is that you need to just prioritize the right parts of the track. Okay? And this goes to track maps and looking at track maps. So, for example, if I just look up a Monza track map, right? Monza track map. If you just did this, for example, open this up, just go into paint. Okay. If you just came in here, just like I just did, copy, paste, open up paint, and then just draw out the areas that are important. And you would look at chicane, T1, the first chicane, right? You would draw something like this. And so from here, this is where you got to prioritize. You got to prioritize all this, right? You prioritize that. You prioritize this. You prioritize this. You prioritize this. And you prioritize that. And you prioritize here. And what that tells you is that now at least you're looking at what do I need to prioritize? Because before you're not really prioritizing. You're just not. Because when we look at the first chicane, if you knew that you have to prioritize this part, then you would say, you know what? I need to sacrifice this part. I need to sacrifice it. I need to get a good braking zone, right? I need to get a good braking zone, but This area, I need to sacrifice this. But you would know that if you just drew out the corner. Same thing here with Ascari, right? You're doing it. You're sacrificing this little part over here of Ascari, this part, and you're prioritizing a good line through here and the exit. You're doing it in certain areas, but you're not doing it in others. Do this exercise on a track, on a different track, obviously. We already did it on this track, but it's just a good skill to have. It makes you look at the track a little bit differently. Most of the time, we just look at it from the cockpit cam, right? Most people don't even like review the replay from far chase, let alone look farther away. And looking at the track map allows you to do that. And it may seem like overkill, but I mean, do it once, see if it works, see if it helps. It can't hurt, I'll tell you that. And I say this because I did these things. I don't just say it. You know, I've done these things to get faster because I learned through trial and error. And I know how hard it is to learn through trial and error. That's one of the reasons why I also have like a good method for like teaching people, is because I had to learn it the hard way, trial and error. Any questions, Griff? Super inconsistent in where? Be more precise in what you're saying. So inconsistent where? Inconsistent in the braking zone, inconsistent in that middle part that we just talked about, inconsistent on exit. Where? Mid and exit? Well, there you go, right? It makes sense. It makes sense why, right? Because you're not prioritizing the right thing at the mid and exit. So therefore, it's inconsistent.